All right, I do a pretty good job narrating this. Welcome, everyone, to another video. This case on rock work for the front of my pole barn. As you can see, this is kind of the first. Before we began, there's a slope here. It's all sand. It does try to rotor a little bit. It likes to have tires dig down in it, and it just is a little bit unsightly. Wanted to have a good rock approach that has a nice angle, a little bit more more gradual angle is what I'd like to accomplish. So I do a good job explaining about how I approach this, but what you're going to see, and I'll talk about later, is I start a pile of rock all in a row where I want to start, and then I back drag it down to spread the rock out. And then after I do that several times, I go ahead and smooth it out long ways, and we talk about that more in the rest of the video. I think I do a pretty good job analyzing what I do, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and if you have a rock work projects and need inspiration or just want to see how I did it in the final product, you came to the right place. Take care, all. So this was after the first round of back dragging. I think it came out pretty good, and obviously you'll see we're going to keep building on this. I wanted to do these couple voiceovers because I started off intending to just do voiceovers for this video, and then I ended up narrating in a video, which I think worked out better. So stay tuned for the video. Hi everyone, I will be doing a voiceover, I'm sure, with several different pictures, but I wanted to give a video on what we're up to. I had already done about 12 foot here from the barn out, and this is still the sand and mixture of, well, it's mostly sand out till about here. And that's sand in the spring when the ground's a little bit wet, and the sand is naturally a little bit of moisture and a little more loose. Can become an issue in two-wheel drive, and I've even had issues, not issues, but with these R4s spinning when I'm carrying a load if I don't have a lot of counterweight on the tractor if I'm going up the hill. We did build the barn a good ways off the ground. I believe it's 30 inches out here above grade and 18 in the back. So we went up a fair distance, and therefore we have a fair bit of a hill coming down. It may have been 32 inches out in front, something like that. I want to narrate a little bit about what I do. I'm just using a L3902 compact tractor. I've spread probably 200 tons of rock, crushed concrete, here to both do the perimeter around the shop and to do the approaches for the 3 doors. We got 2 there and then 1 over there, and the human door and the porch and whatever. Concrete is obviously very expensive, and we're getting by just fine without it. Now, no matter what you do, you're going to have some weeds develop. Because of the caustic glyphosate this year, I didn't end up spraying the weeds. I certainly can, but they're all going to die this winter time anyway, and they're not particularly in the way. If I was using this apron for something besides, the apron is there to protect the side of the barn from having any air or water or rodents get underneath the slab and compromise the ground underneath the slab, which is obviously bad. So this is simply the approach for vehicles to be able to come in and out of the shop without getting stuck. If for some reason you have a two-wheel drive truck, like my 12 valve, sometimes it can be a little bit of a pig in sand, especially when you're going uphill. That uphill, with two-wheel drive in one-wheel peel can be an issue. My methodology for doing this is I start making a wall of rock, and then I back drag just simply using float. Now, I don't want to hear anybody jump in and talk about breaking cylinders. If you're not trying to abuse your tractor, and I can't speak to the quality of other people's cylinders. I've never been to Kubota cylinder. I've done a ton of back dragging. Simply being gentle with your equipment and not forcing it and abusing it with the ram fully extended goes a long way to preventing any problems. I'm 3/4 of the way extended right now. This is generally the angle that I'm back dragging at. Then float function is simply going all the way up, and just the weight of the bucket holds back, and it does a nice job of getting a relatively uniform just for the first rough part. I'll go in and I'll drag and compact this way too when I get done. But right now, the methodology is simply spreading the rock down and also conserving the pile and watching the pile to make sure I don't get halfway done and not have enough rock. I may end up ordering another, I believe that is 10 yards. Pretty sure it's a 10-yard dump truck that they bring. Pretty sure it's 10 yards, maybe 8. I don't remember exactly. I can ask my gravel company. But it is crushed concrete, and it does a very nice job. Packs in really, really well. And sure, you're going to have some weed issues here and there. You could spray it. You could pull them out. I'm not particularly concerned about it. I'm not a crazy neat freak in terms of perfection. And if I was, I would obviously be investing in concrete. Did get a quote from the people who did pour my floor, and we were looking at it was $32,000 to do a 24 by 60 to do the whole front of the barn in concrete, 24 out and 60 wide, and then that also included I think it's 22 by 10 for the human porch and the human door, and then the approach to the other door, I believe we were doing 24 out and then the full 14 wide, but I think we quoted it at 16 wide. So 32 grand to do all of that. And obviously this rock could be used as a basis if you were going to do that. You could dig it all out with a mini, pile it all up, dig down your amount you want to go, put this rock in, and then this rock could be used for something afterwards. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had, other than this approach right here, you can see the sand that's still here from the original, the really nice sand that they used for the base of this barn, to the compacted sand that they used before, or for the below where the concrete went, and also the whole apron. I think it was 8 foot around the barn was all sand, but it also blew a little bit and whatever. So, and there was extra we did smooth out and bring out. So there's sand that comes out a good ways. So, other than this approach, I did a nice job on the other approach. I did all that once, and it was long. I didn't have enough material because I did 60 by 12. It's a fair amount of material. I believe it was the whole amount. I'm expecting to be able to do, hopefully, 60 by 12. Actually, 10 foot on both sides. So that'll be 80 by 12 of total rock. And, you know, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's really more like 70. I haven't really done a lot over here. I have some river rock that's piled up over there. Just some extra aggregate that I had laying around, and that's kind of where it ends up. And obviously the weeds grow up where I'm not traversing with vehicles. So we're probably not going to go the full 10 on the other side too. But it is 60 wide, so another 10 over here. So call it 70 by 12 is what I hope to get done with that. I may ask for another load to do down here, just because having it complete is always good. And like I said, it's as simple. If you really wanted to use if you were comfortable using glyphosate and you're not worried about it for your animals, it'd be as simple as, if it greened up, spray it, and in a couple days it's going to turn brown, and in about a week it's going to be totally deteriorated back into the rock. And as you can see, I didn't spray this year, and we're just talking a couple little weed patches. Now I do have the black stuff, whatever the heck you call the black fabric stuff you put down underneath the rock. I did do that there close to the barn. Out here, like I said, I'm far away from the barn. If I want to spray it, I can. You're probably talking $150 to get another 12 by 70 or 80 of that material over here. I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather put more rock down, and I'd rather do the quick spray. You could probably, with, a gallon of glyphosate, or even, 3/4 of a gallon of glyphosate and 5 gallons of water, you would be able to get this, all sprayed, no problem. So we're not talking a terrible expenditure. If you're talking, I believe glyphosate's at $80-90 for 2.5 gallons. So you're talking like $20 of glyphosate, and then water, which in theory is basically free to kill it if you should want to. I think we're going to be okay. The biggest thing is to have a hard surface for bringing things in and out. My dad's Cummins, and my dad's Cummins has baloney skins on it, so it's a little bit less good off-road, and generally when we're back in a heavy trailer in here with his truck, we're throwing in four-wheel drive just because it tries to spin. My 12 valve likes to try and spin, so you hit it with a little bit of speed. Everything else with either four-wheel drive or working four-wheel drive, not a big deal, and with better tires. But he insists on running the stupid highway tires. So we're going to continue spreading this, and like I said, I have a line going right here, and I'll back drag again, and hopefully with the float function, we're going to get a pretty consistent coverage of rock, and then we'll go true up the edges to kind of keep it square so it doesn't look like a shoreline of water going down. And then we'll probably patch in. There's a couple low spots. There's a little low spot right there that I'm going to patch in. I already filled up one low spot by putting an extra load there, so that'll help. And then we'll also drag and compact going this way too once we get everything all flattened out. I may choose to ask for one more order. It'll go right here, but this method works extremely well. You do not need to have a skid steer. This I would call a mid-size compact tractor. The L3902 is a step above the LX, a big step above the LX, which is above the B for Kubota's lineup. It's about equivalent to a John Deere 3 Series. And the L60 is the next frame size up from this, which is the biggest compact tractor Kubota makes, short of the MX, which is the It's kind of a fusion between a bigger utility tractor and a compact tractor. So this is not a particularly big tractor. One step up, like I said, would be an L60 series, and that is definitely a heavier frame, heavier axles, bigger engine. You can get an L4060, so a 40 horsepower engine. It's probably a similar engine to this engine. I don't know that for sure, but I'm assuming it's a very similar engine. And horsepower is obviously not what we're doing here. We don't need very much horsepower to do this. You probably need to have a whopping, 20 or honestly probably 12 horsepower to do this work. What it's all about is weight and the ability to lift up. Do have the tires filled. If you've watched my videos, you already know that. If you're new here, thank you for coming. I do have filled tires on my L3902. I think it's the best investment you could ever do. I do not have an implement on the back. I actually took my tiller off before I did this, simply so I didn't back into something with it. These tires will carry a full load of rock comfortably as long as you're not on tippy ground. If you had a full load of rock in the bucket and you lifted it up a good ways and you came at this when it had the drop off here of the original rock, you can see the whiter rock is the original rock. You may feel a little tippy without a counterweight, but if you're operating safely, smartly, you're really not in any danger with filled tires. I would not want to do this with a full bucket of rock without having a counterweight on here without filled tires. It is a hugely good thing to put into your machine. I haven't seen any downside in terms of driving it on grass. It doesn't appear to tear the ground up any worse than even my lighter turf tire equipped B2630, which is a much lighter tractor. 2 frame sizes down, doesn't have filled tires, has turf tires. As long as I'm not in 4-wheel drive, the marking is exactly the same. And the rear tires aren't even the markers. It's these skinny front tires. And this isn't a review video, but I'm begging all of these manufacturers. Kubota did it on the MX, and John Deere does it on the big 4 series ones. They put a bigger tire on the front. Just why do we have these short tires, skinny tires? Why? Give us some big tires in the front. Don't know what this fetish is with having small tires on tractors, and it goes way back to the olden days in tractors. I don't know what the reason is to have tiny tires in the front. The bigger the tire you have, the less ground pressure you have, the better it works. The wider the tire, the less it digs in because of the less ground pressure. Also, the bigger diameter, you have a wider contact patch, you have a longer contact patch, not just wider. So if you go up in diameter, you get longer, and if you go wider, you get wider. You combine the two together, you have much less ground pressure and much less marking. Don't know why we're so fixated on these tiny tires. Don't understand. Obviously, big utility tractors have big front tires, and that makes a difference, and it would make a difference to load carrying as well. So, moving forward, I will continue to do this. We'll probably do a voiceover talking about, I haven't encountered any problems along the way. I've already done one pass of this, of piling it up in the front, backdragging it back. It left a very, decent for not doing anything besides backdragging. I haven't compacted it, haven't done anything. Haven't gone back and forth yet. It does a nice job for being a lightweight tractor. In a piece of equipment that a lot of landowners can afford to get. A skid steer is generally a big step up for a lot of people, as is me. I don't have one. My buddy owns a tree service company. He has one, and he has a reason to have one. He uses it all the time. Your average landowner probably not. Smaller compact tractor will do this. If you had a backhoe or another heavy piece of equipment on the back of like a LX or a B series, and equivalently a 2 series and a 1 series John Deere, of course, or you could do the same. You could do this with a BX, you could do it. You just would be taking smaller bucketfuls. This really doesn't take a big piece of equipment. So if you want to tackle a rock project for your approaches for your barn or a parking pad, you really have no issue. You could definitely use a compact tractor to do that. A mid-sized compact tractor would make it a little bit easier. It allow you to dig a little bit better. If you want to remove some topsoil and then fill it back in with rock, you can dig. You have more weight to drive the bucket in the ground to scrape off your top layer, should you want to do that. I didn't do that with this because I need to fill it up anyway. And I have a limit. Rock is not crazy expensive, but it's expensive nonetheless. So yeah, this is how we're doing it. If you have any comments, leave them down below. I will put pictures as we go, and I may voice over in the pictures. You may have already heard a voiceover by the time I edit this video. Take care, all. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're going to get out snowmobiling if you're a snowmobiler. If you're hunting, I hope you're enjoying that. If you're relaxing at home because that's what you do in the wintertime, I'm happy for you there too. Enjoy a good Christmas movie. Take care of yourself, and happy holidays. Happy New Year. Now, as you might imagine, I'm pretty happy with the end result of a couple swipes back dragging with float and smoothing occasionally with hydraulics as opposed to only float to get to this point. What we're going to do now is we're going to build up over here. We're looking pretty good, honestly, and we still have a good bit of rock left, which is great. We may not need to get another load to do this, but we're going to put some more rock down here to get some more thickness down here, because we're only probably at, an inch or two down there, whereas we're at, 6 or 8 inches in the middle and, 3 or something up at top. We'll continue smoothing this, but this is where we're at right now, and we're talking, since I got off the phone with you, back drag down toward that way, twice for each pile on float, just to get it good and smooth, and then 3 back drags long ways, and this is the result we have right now. I call it very good results for a relatively cheaper piece of equipment and very little effort on operator part. So we're going to keep going. We'll see how it turns out. All right, now I put a line down the middle of where I want to put more in, and I'm going to back drag it right back down, and then we'll smooth it out a couple more times. We're probably getting close, and then we will smooth out down there, which is where the pile was. We have a whole bunch of rock down there. We will probably bring down here because right here is a little bit low, so we'll probably end up bringing it down here to smooth this out, but I will back drag this. We'll see how it turns out, and we'll go from there. All right, who's happy with that? I'm pretty happy with that. We went back and forth a couple times, a couple more back dragging forward and aft, and it looks pretty darn nice, especially for not having to move a shovel, not having to move a rake, not having to put any effort into it besides driving the tractor. So very happy with that. The pile is now turned into a nice sloping driveway. We have a beautifully sloping driveway. We have a pretty darn straight line. I'll take that, good enough. Obviously that's nice when you're mowing the lawn, that you don't dig the edge of the mower, into your rock. I've got to figure out something for this place, because the problem is this stuff that grows, I'm pretty sure that this used to be a cattle ranch at one point back in the day, and there's like this dormant seed that just ends up dying. I didn't spray any of this. It just turned this horrible color. I think that planting some grass here, like legit grass, like the Kentucky bluegrass seed or whatever, I think I might want to do that, because this grass is terrible, because it's really more like weeds, or more like I don't even know how to describe it. It just turns into this awful thick, hard to mow, and out of nowhere about July like 15th every single year, out of nowhere, right when I'm really busy in the peak of summer, it just starts growing like gangbusters, and it turns into a hayfield nightmare. So I'm kind of wondering if I frost seed from some bluegrass in here, but I'm pretty pleased about how this turned out. Obviously there's a little bit of weeds here and there, but that's just the way she goes. Very happy with this slope. That slope looks good. We're good. We have a beautiful slope coming down here. It's pretty packed in. I've driven over it quite a few times. I think we're going to be in very good shape. So yeah, well, that's how to spread 10 yards of rock with a compact tractor and make a really pretty driveway apron. I'm happy with that. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Take care of yourself, and as I said, have a wonderful holiday, Christmas, whatever you're celebrating, New Year's, good time of the year. What's that? Winter solstice is coming up here. I don't know if anybody celebrates that. Throw down in the comments what you guys celebrate over the holiday season. What do you like to eat? I'm a ham fan. I'm not a big fan of turkey. I like a glazed cinnamon or a glazed brown sugar ham. That's what I like. And some mashed potatoes and some macaroni. You guys take care of yourself. Have a great day, great year, great new year. Be safe. Make smart decisions now, everyone. Take care. Bye.